at that time, all we had was NWA. And everybody thought everything coming out of LA is gangster rap. You know, like let them do that and let us do something else.
Good Life was like an escape.
A release.
It was like home.
Something like that couldn't happen in any other city, in any other part of the world, at any other time. It was perfect.
Unmanufactured, unprocessed hip-hop. It's raw hip-hop. That's where you go.
And the hip-hop clan, and the hip-hop clan, and Funky Drink, and the hip-hop clan, and the hip-hop clan, the back, and the hip-hop clan, and the hip-hop clan.
I mean, man, we're in the middle of South Central where it goes down on a daily. Everybody was able to come here and just create. Wipe your feet at the door, get down together as brothers and sisters and smash.
Rules of the Good Life was not being whack. Don't be whack.
Styles reigned supreme back then. So many different styles.
Tim was the man.
His style is one of the most original to ever breathe on a microphone.
Medusa, the queen of LA hip hop, the mama.
When you hear Charlie Tuna's voice, you're like, this guy's dope. He's gonna be big.
Pigeon John is my favorite MC. His work has so much emotion to it.
Cut Chemist.
He's just an amazing DJ, turntablist.
I might have been the first white guy in the Good Life. Maybe, maybe not, but sure felt like that.
Abstract Rude is one of my favorite MCs.
He looked like the South Central Jimi Hendrix type of vibe.
Mike and I is the founder of all that Good Life. That's all of us is his sons.
And the energy that was created by the place spread out sort of worldwide.
It became a thing where people were hearing about the Good Life all around LA.
You even had situations where like Ice Cube was saying like his dudes down in the videotape certain ones.
Shannon Doherty, when 90210 was huge, she was in the parking lot in the Good Life, and that's when you started thinking something is happening here.
I remember, and this is crazy, when Fat Joe got booed off of the Good Life stage.
All the labels would come up there, man.
I would say probably about 5-6 MCs, we got major record deals. And we were all like under the age of 21.
We was trying to be the best lyricists on the planet. And then for a small time we did that. But then after that, what do you do?
I don't know. I don't think it was ever meant to actually be. You know, it was too raw. It was too like untainted.
Whether I'm rich financially or not, all my dreams musically have come true tenfold.
If I could meet God right now, I'd be like, and he was like, yeah, you want to go back to the earth and change some things, man, and fix yourself good life would not be one of the things that I changed at all.
This is The Life is a documentary that should be seen, especially if you are a hip-hop head, old or new. It's very important. Just to give you little background on this movie, I saw it when it came out at the premiere, and I met the director, producer, Ava Duvernay. You guys know about Ava Duvernay via her movies that she's been made famous for, like Selma and 13 and a bunch of other ones. She was actually a rapper before she started doing films, and she was a good rapper, really, really good rapper. She got flows, seriously. I'm going to put in the description her group, Figures of Speech. You know, I would say that they would be a conscious rap group now. I mean, like, that's what they would probably be labeled as. Then again, a lot of groups in the early 90s, and even if you were gangster, you had a little bit of that element in there, you know. A lot of groups back then were all about that, you know. Shoot. This is the Life basically is like pretty much, I think, her love project, because she grew up going to this place, and it's so cool to see a documentary on this, because I think if she didn't do a documentary on this, a lot of this would, you know, go unsung. This is a very important movement in hip hop, and its influences. I mean, shoot, people don't even know how much of an influence, you know, this movement had. Now, The Good Life was a health food store in South Central. I'd never been to The Good Life. I had friends go, though, and some of them actually are in this movie. And basically, it was like a rap gladiator school, if you really look at it, because you're in a relatively smaller place. It's not like the Apollo. Apollo is big, it's like you're far away from the audience, but the audience, from what I understand in this particular situation, was a lot closer to you. And they were, they would make sure that, from what I've heard, that if you were whack, then you were off the stage. You would get booed off pretty much. But you had to come back next week fresh if you came back, from what I heard. You basically had to, endure the criticisms of the crowd, in close proximity. But man, I think that even helped the competition, even though from what I gather, it wasn't necessarily a competition. It was just basically, if there was a competition, it was a competition within yourself, like just to be the best that you can, and just, there was so much of a diversity, even if you didn't go there, you see the fruits of all that with a lot of the MCs that came out of that. I mean, we had, the most famous, like the Far Side, she keeps on passing me by, and Skilo, I wish I was a little bit taller, and Ahmad. Back in the days, I'm totally not doing justice to these songs, but you guys know these songs, especially if you lived back when I did, or lived, or was around at this stage in LA, and people know about these songs because, I mean, they were popular back then. But I'm sure some people probably didn't know that these cats were from LA, unless you were really ahead, But then there's also unsung MCs. Now, Freestyle Fellowship, I would still say was unsung, although they did have some radio play on a few of their songs, Inner City Boundaries being one of them, with Daddy-O from Stetson Sonic. And Hot Potato, I think, was the most popular that they had. But they still, to me, are very unsung. I mean, these guys, they're like a hip-hop super group, in my opinion, shoot, you got AC Alone, you got Peace, who gives a lot of interesting stories and interviews in this movie. You got Jupiter, and you got Micah 9. Man, I have to tell you this. Back in the 90s, and I still dig this stuff, but back in the 90s, I was into drum and bass. Drum and bass is a very hype form of music, beat-wise. Jungle and drum and bass are pretty much related. In LA, there was a club called Concrete Jungle that I would go to occasionally. And man, put it like this. One of my friends, who was also a bandmate in a group that I was in at the time, went to basically dance, because we just wanted to dance, and we wanted to go to some drum and bass stuff. We were really into that. We even tried to play it live. Actually, no, we did play it live with our instruments, but that's another story. Man, Micah 9 was spitting over this stuff. And I swore it was like 2 hours. We were dancing and listening to him spit. He was killing it, dude. He was just pretty much like the other instrument on stage. Like, it was just, oh man, he was killing it, dude. Chopping and all, freestyling and all. And that's the thing about this particular scene that was very unique. I know that there's a history of chopping in hip hop that goes back to the early 80s and all that. Some would say the Treacherous 3 was basically, I think it was Kumo D, correct me if I'm wrong, was the start of that. But the thing is, LA had their own version of that. And in this movie, it pretty much shows the influence of that. form of chopping. And some people would even say that it was pioneered by a lot of these MCs. You know, even if you don't agree with that, how could I say this? There is a definite significance or importance to what LA did with that particular style of rapping. They revolutionized it. Not only did they do that, they also pioneered the art of freestyling and rapping. I'm going to let one of the MCs from The Good Life basically tell you how that started. His name is Lyrical, by the way.
I started freestyling 1984. Like when we heard Rakim or somebody on the record say freestyle, we thought they meant off the top of the head.
So there you have it, from the rapper's mouth himself, the OG, Lyrical. You know, it's one thing where the chopping thing was being expressed, but another thing was that freestyle. And the thing was, they would battle like that. Seriously. Now imagine, you're in a battle freestyling somebody freestyling, and you have to come off the top of the head with it. You're chopping, and you're thinking of clever things to say right away. And it's unbelievable, some of the things that come up. These MCs at The Good Life pioneered that. I will say that. And, you know, it was just revolutionary. That's why, you know, even though I didn't go to The Good Life, I had friends that went. You know, many of the people in that movie I've also collaborated with musically. So I got firsthand information. And plus, I've seen these guys do what they do. You know, and just unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. You got people like Bus Driver, Spoon of Iodine, the great Medusa. That's another thing too. Man, a lot of the women that that were a part of this scene were just as fierce as the guys. Just as like straight up like lethal. Medusa and Coco being, you know, with their group Sin. I mentioned Figures of Speech, and there's other women that were, I mean, listen to the LA heavyweights. I'm going to put some of this music in the description. They came correct and they came raw, you know. It's a trip. You know, most of what people know about LA hip hop is the gangster rap, which is Ice-T, Ice Cube, NWA, Snoop, you know. And yeah, even though that we're known for that, you know, we had basically this Good Life thing going on too, you know, which had many different elements from the street and even like on some artistic type, artsy type stuff, avant-garde sort of experimental type stuff, you know, just amazing stuff, man. Like I got a bunch of cats that I dig from that, man. I mean, how could you like not say that? Or here's the question I ask myself. How could an MC like an AC Alone be unsung? Yeah, he has a huge underground following, but I don't know why someone like him is not in the mainstream when it comes to hip hop. You know? There's groups like CVE that was doing a lot of this sort of influential like beat style, which is really abstract, and I've heard some of these new rappers kind of have that style along with the chopping, you know? Man, I mean, you know, it's funny, people have been talking about Eminem and, you know, his contribution to hip hop and all that as if it was like the best thing since sliced cheese or something that was beyond every other hip hop artist. Well, check this out. Many of you Eminem fans really need to watch this movie because I'm sure M knew about these people. especially coming out here to clubs like Unity, which a lot of MCs did, whether he was inspired by them or not. He knew about, I'm sure, some of a lot of these LA MCs. And to me, I look at a movie like 8 Mile, I'm like, fine, they want to show their version of that, but it's the reason that I don't see Eminem as that special when you have a caliber of MCs, not just one, but a bunch of them, and rappers that were doing all kinds of different like things with the way that they rhyme, from word gymnastics to chopping to freestyling off the head to freaking like just all kinds of stuff, man. You listen to Freestyle Fellowship's The Level of Difficulty in this, or When the Day Stood Still. You listen to Spoon of Iodine, you know, his rap about money, or that song Antichrist. You know, just listen to any of the heavyweight stuff too. There's a lot of great MCs. I mean, freaking Bus Driver, man. His stuff, it's like you have to really listen to what he's saying, you know, like it's just like, this is crazy, you know. Man, I feel like I'm leaving some stuff out, you guys, but what I want you to do, please check out this movie. It's called This Is the Life, and it's about the good life in LA. It'll give you more details. It's a great documentary. Many of the groups that I've mentioned, you know, are in it, and some that I probably didn't, because I want you to see it, you know. Shout out to all the Good Life, and also the Project Blowedians. Project Blowed was actually post Good Life. You know, when the Good Life ended, a lot of the MCs took what they did in that particular type of ciphering to Project Blowed, which was being held at the Chaos Network, which was founded by Ben Caldwell, who's my personal hero. Ben Caldwell is awesome. Shout out to all the lifers out there, the ones that I know and don't know. And man, I hope you guys watch this video. Like seriously, if you need to Netflix it, please do. It's a must see. It's definitely something that needs to be known when it comes to hip hop, especially West Coast hip hop, you know. And check it out. I feel like I'm leaving some stuff out, but you know what? I'm just going to leave you guys with this. Peace. P.S. I have to emphasize this. When I said caliber MCs, I meant high caliber MCs. Very high caliber MCs. So that's what I had to base rapping on, you know, even when it came to someone like an Eminem. And why, to me, he's not that special. I'm not dissing him. I'm not saying that he's not good. But, you know, when you have so many different MCs with so many different skills that are just straight high caliber and pristine, and I mean, like, just like a sharpened sword, you just are like, okay, you know, when cats just saying, you know, started making him look like he was the greatest thing since, you know, sliced cheese, it's just like, okay. Have you guys heard any of the MCs that came from the Good Life? Do you know about the influence that they even had? You know? And just, you know, the depths of rocking, man, in that sense of mic rocking and all the stuff that a lot of these MCs have done. Anyway, I can go on and on, you guys. Please watch this movie. This Is the Life. Shout out to Ava Duvernay for making it. And it was cool meeting you in person when I did too. This needed to be made, and this needs to be seen by everyone, especially if you're a hip hop head. Peace, and shout out to all y'all.